And it was okay.
Really?
It was all right, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The Monster, it was pretty well received.
Yeah, it's a lot of grinding, so you have to kind of just be into that sort of thing.
Well, I mean, all Monster Hunters are super grindy. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah.
Square Enix has put out a call to hire new developers for the theoretically upcoming FF7 remake. Early development of the game has been coming from third-party companies such as CyberConnect 2, but now SE wants to bring all development in-house. People are still debating exactly what this means about the game's development.
If you want to hear a full conversation about that, you can hear it on this week's Checkpoint Radio, which you can find over at checkpointradio.com on Tuesday. But, man, I am so concerned about Square Enix as a developer right now.
Really? You haven't just accepted it?
No. I mean, the thing is like, to me, this seems to indicate further problems for a development team that for the last 10 years can't seem to get its shit together.
Months ago, sometime last year, we had pointed out on this show that since they merged with Enix, they haven't actually developed a title that any of us would consider up to par.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge problem.
Yeah, I mean, they put out like a few remakes or whatnot, and obviously they've published some good games, but
Definitely.
as far as development goes, it's all been mediocre at best.
And the thing is that it feels like, they were once a developer that was known for, their insane narratives and the quality of graphics, and it's fallen off, and now I feel like, people are just expecting, another Kingdom Hearts 3 delay, or like, the fact that they keep putting out Kingdom Hearts 2.5, 0.8, 0.7, pi, like fucking is that not its own punchline? Like,
it really is.
Is that not, it becomes almost a fucking parody of itself, and it's like, dude, and they keep going, get ready for Kingdom Hearts. Like, dude, no, this is a MacGuffin, right? It's never gonna happen. It's this. People have an idea of what Kingdom Hearts 3 is, and it's just going to be this idea. Like, it's never going to ever become a real fucking thing.
And here's the problem is you are almost reaching like Duke Nukem Forever point, where no matter what comes out, even if it's good, not to say Duke Nukem Forever it was awful.
Right.
But no matter what comes out, people are going to be expecting more.
Because 10 years in development, you would expect more. Like, Final Fantasy 15 was an okay game. Yeah. Was it 10 years in development okay? No. Nothing
is, though. There is no game.
For 10 years in development, that thing should have blown our fucking socks off. Like,
that's the problem, is there is no 10-year development game. No game lives up to that.
Exactly. You
can't.
And the gall of Square Enix that they think that they could. You know what I mean? This is not Square Enix changing their business model. This is not Square Enix like evolving into modern game making, because and the other part of Square Enix that really doesn't sit well with me is how cash grabby they are.
Oh, jeez.
Everything is, they are so steeped in the DLC culture, the pre-order culture,
Cinnabon culture.
I feel like,
sorry, wrong show.
Dude, I feel like as a Square Enix fan that I'm being nickeled and dimed at every turn. And it's frustrating.
We'll probably have more to say about that at 4:00.
I wonder if we will. I think probably we will.
In the news alone at 4:00. Yep.
Well, speaking of Square Enix, they've announced an external development partnership with Polish developer People Can Fly. They're perhaps best known for their title Bulletstorm, and are teaming with Square to develop a new high-end original title for PC and console. And this is really maybe more where Square should be, is getting someone else to develop something and handing them a check.
Okay, you know what? And this might be the only hope that I have right now, outside of the collaboration they're doing with Marvel for the Avengers thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that this isn't just a new title, but, they're like looking at like a new high-end type title. It's like they finally looked and like, oh, guys, we really screwed up Final Fantasy.
What do we do? Pay someone else to make something good. Do that.
Yeah.
Someone who still has ideas.
But that's been their fucking plan. They've been using good games to prop up their bad games. And at like what point do you just say, like, we don't even know what Final Fantasy fans want? Like, I think that's probably what my biggest problem with.
They care. That's
no, and that's the thing, Nika, is that they don't care. Like, they're totally complicit and happy to keep putting out dud after dud of Final Fantasy titles and almost and claiming that they're going to bet the farm, with that title, and it does okay, but it's not. It doesn't live up to the fucking Final Fantasy name. And when you look backwards, like, that's really the problem. Like, yes, 13 was hugely problematic from a lot of angles. 15 was okay, but it's still kind of problematic. When you look backwards and you look at the lineage that came before it, those games would have been probably fine if you didn't attach the Final Fantasy name to them. And the thing is that they're not living up to the legacy that Hironobu Sakaguchi had set out for them, and really this series feels like it's been without a strong compass at its center since Sakaguchi's departure.
This series feels like
it's since 10 that it's been filled with problems.
It's gotten to that point, like, eventually things need to end. And you either end by saying, you know what, we're going out on top, or you end by fizzling out.
They're fizzling out. Yeah,
that's probably what's going to happen. But like you said, 14 or 13 and 15 were okay games. But as long as they even pull in something of what they see as a profit, it's the same thing that you have with DC movies, right? They're still technically profiting, so we're just going to keep on making them.
Yeah, it's like mediocre is good enough.
Yeah.
And that bothers me because, I think whatever you do, you should be striving for greatness.
There's no legacy in mediocrity.
And not living in mediocrity.
But mediocre is good enough is not an indictment on them. That's an indictment on fans and on people who are buying the games.
That's why 13 is still so popular.
Yeah, exactly. 13 it was seen as okay because it sold like gangbusters.
You're not
an indictment
wrong.
on us.
You're not wrong. But the thing is that you wear that thin. Like, there's only so much of that Square Enix is able to maintain before they're going to start seeing diminishing returns.
Definitely. But again, that will be on us to make sure those diminishing returns happen. If you keep supporting it, it's what you will continue to get.
Exactly. But I mean, now we hear all these delays with the Final Fantasy VII remake. They're already talking about doing a remake of 8 or 6 or there's tons of rumors.
There are rumors of 8. Yeah.
There are tons of rumors flying around about all different manner of titles and remakes that they could be working on.
Well, they better give that to Nomura too, because he knows what he's doing.
Yeah. What? He knows how. I think he knows how to delay a project, and that's about it.
Yeah, I just realized I don't actually have to worry about an FF8 remake. I won't have to deal with that until 2035. That's a problem for future Callie.
maybe Nomura is like me, and he's like, an FF7 remake shouldn't happen, and that's what he's working on. It never happened.
He's playing the long con.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I feel bad for the people who really, really, still look to Square Enix as this beacon of quality, because I just, at some point, I think that, the infatuation, the honeymoon period, it's going to run dry. Like that fandom runs dry, and when it runs dry, then that's when, as a company, you're really fucked.
Well, and that's where we go back to a lot of the things that they've served as publishers for have been good, and maybe the time is getting real close where SE needs to look at that and say, maybe this is what we're better at. Maybe we don't have that creative drive we once had.
Maybe. How about this? Here's a crazy thought. Okay, Square Enix has had a Final Fantasy title, a game with the Final Fantasy franchise in development perpetually for 25 years. I mean, it seems like they're always working on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay.
I don't think there's ever been a time where there wasn't one being worked on.
Why not give yourself a little bit of distance from the franchise, and so you can reconnect with what your audience wants? You can experiment. Maybe start a new IP. Try something new. See if it works. See if it works. And then maybe take the lessons that you learn and apply it to Final Fantasy in a couple of years when you feel like you've got a better understanding of what the people who are paying you money want from you. Just, it's a novel thought.
I like it. I could do with a 10-year break.
I mean, just, I think, and And again, it's not just giving the fans a break. It's giving the developers a break.
Yeah.
Because, we cannot hear about it for 10 years and whatever. And by the time we hear about it, all the nostalgia is all worked up into a frenzy. Okay? But they need some distance. Like, far more than the audience needs distance. Right?
Well, we had the thing with one of the developers who said that what they had of the FF7, the trailer demo they got, didn't have the Final Fantasy feel to it. And it's like, well, what is the Final Fantasy feel?
At this point,
can you qualify what it is, Square Enix?
Do
fans know what it is anymore?
No.
And I'm not sure that anyone does.
I don't think
there is that thing of like when you play it and it's there when you play it, but I don't know. Can you even qualify that anymore? I'm not sure I can. I could have in 2000.
I mean, I'm almost willing to bet money that Square Enix is going to announce 16 out at E3.
Oh no!
I mean, maybe if not a full.
I'm actually surprised they haven't announced it already.
The fact that they've been mum about the next Final Fantasy game makes me think that they're gearing up for an announcement at E3, and I don't think that it's going to be a full-fledged trailer. I don't know that we'll even see any characters or any
logo art.
That's basically what.
Reveal.
Yeah, we're gonna get the logo reveal, and it's gonna be in development. Who fucking cares at this point? You know what I mean? Like, what PSP title did you take from in development and now throw onto the fucking PlayStation 4, Square Enix? Like, quit shoehorning your development projects and maybe set out from the start to make a fucking Final Fantasy game that feels like a Final Fantasy game, if you can even, like Robbie had said, qualify what that is anymore. I don't know that I can. I don't know that I can. But I mean, like, 15 just did not capture my imagination like other Final Fantasy games have, and I just don't think, like, ever since 10 it's been on shaky ground. You know what I mean? Like, 10 was the last one where I think people walked away from it going like, yeah, that was a Final Fantasy game. And that was
even I disagree even with that. I walked away from 10 disappointed originally. Like going back later, I appreciated it more, but when I first played 10, I didn't like it.
Okay, see, I don't think that necessarily means anything, because I felt the same way about 9 the first time I played it, and outside of the bias that I have towards 7, 9 is actually, I think, the best Final Fantasy.
See, I actually think that there is a journey that a lot of people go on where the first time they play a game and they beat it and they see the ending and they don't like it, like, a lot of times the things, like the endings that I initially disliked, end up becoming my favorite endings because I end up, my perspective on them either changes with time, or I end up thinking about them so much and like trying to fit the pieces together so hard afterwards that it sticks with me. And it's like FF8's ending did that, because it's like, it's sort of like End of Evangelion. Like, you couldn't, if you tried to tell another person what happened, you'd sound like a rambling madman.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
And then the robot crucifix decided to penetrate the vagina eye that had come out of the earth. Like, you sound like a fucking crazy person when you actually try to describe what the fuck is happening on the screen, but you end up thinking about it, and I think through that persistent meditation is where you arrive at a deeper meaning, or you arrive at some kind of understanding, and that is something that I actually really appreciate about a TV show or a video game or a movie that's able to do that to me.
Yeah, and you and I have actually gone back and forth before on the idea of that might have been a problem with 12, because I know we're both looking forward to the Zodiac Age to get a chance to try and play it again. But look, I played 13 3 or 4 times, still haven't made it to the end. That one is not one of those games.
No, I don't think anyone's going to go back and play 13 later and be like, oh, you know what? I missed a lot of the nuance.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Is that most Final Fantasy games, they get better with age, right? Like there is even 6, 7. Like you end up coming back to it, and it is like a good book. You end up like with a different appreciation for a different level of the narrative that you missed out on the first time that you watched it. And I just don't think that is present with 13. I don't know that it's present with 15 because I'm still not finished with it, and I can't. The thing is that I'm like, I'm like so exasperated I can't.
Bring yourself to even continue on with it.
I finished it, but I can't get myself to go back and do the DLC, even though I hear it's good. Like I've heard, like the Gladiolus DLC is supposed to be really good, but
It's fun.
Yeah, I just can't. I can't figure out why should I go back and play it again?
Because it's fun.
Cup noodle, man. Cup noodle.
I mean, is it in the back of your head for like maybe I'll do it when all of them are out? I mean, did you?
Yeah, maybe that's
Did you get the season pass?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so
maybe once they're all out, I'll just like crank through them all.
Yeah, so you own it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe I'll just crank through them when they're all out.
See, I think that's what I'm kind of waiting for. I got.
They're not even connected.
No.
No, but here's the thing, Nika.
Like they're connected to the game, but not to each other. So
No. But I mean, like,
it's
okay.
easier to go back when they're all out and play through them all than to go play the first one and be like, oh, you know what? No, that did kind of suck. Now you're definitely not going to go play the other ones.
See, I don't think I got.
But it doesn't suck. So
Well, hang on, Nika. So I don't think I even got far enough to even get to any of the points where the DLC would happen. And so I feel like, okay, if I'm stalled out right now and I just wait until all of the content is there, do you, in your opinion, because you played through it and then went back and did the DLC, if I played it after everything was there, do you think I would get a more complete experience?
No, you still wouldn't. Well, I mean, you still wouldn't play them until after you beat the game. So, because like they're not gonna like insert it into the game. It's not like the only thing that they already have the extra chapter 13 stuff released. And my sister actually got to that point and it actually asks you, do you want to follow this character or this character? And you click one, and when you get to the end, you click the other person, and that's already in the game as of now. So that complete experience is already there. The Gladio, Prompto, and Ignis DLCs are something totally separate that you would still play after you finish the game.
Oh, really? So you couldn't do like when Gladio actually like separates from the group.
Yeah, because that's what I thought.
No, because the DLC is like all the guys are sitting around the campfire and they're like, "Oh, hey, so what really did happen when you pieced out?" And he's like, "Okay, let me tell you." And then you flash back. And
so it's more like
I don't like that at all. I don't like that at all. Just like do it in a flashback.
Well, like it's what they did with The Last of Us DLC, where you find out what happens to or how Ellie gets infected or whatever. Basically,
I mean, I don't know.
And like it didn't. I don't know. Gladio's DLC didn't. I mean, his reason for leaving really made zero sense in the first place. Like. I really feel like they had a whole bunch of DLC planned for Prompto and Ignis, and they're like, shit, we need something for Gladio. Let's make him leave for a chapter. And then so they just like threw his.
You know what? I'm going to give them this.
It was still really fun.
At least they gave us something to actually play instead of just more anime episodes.
Especially because it's a different gameplay entirely too. Like Gladio's gameplay is totally different than Nox's gameplay, and like Prompto's is going to be very different. So. I don't know. I still think that the point of while you're playing the game is that you're following Noctis, and so some of it is kind of jarring because you're like, I have no idea what's going on in other parts of the world because Noctis doesn't know.
You said they actually changed like the gameplay too, so it's like mini game episodes.
No, it's just that Gladio doesn't play like Noctis. He has a different weapon. He has different skills. He has different it's not the same. You don't fly around like Noctis does. He has his big sword, and he has like different ways you activate the skills and all that kind of stuff.
Well, because Noctis can use all the different weapons too. So I mean,
right? But Noctis is usually the one telling other people to do the skills. You are now in control of Gladio. You're not going to sit around and wait for Noctis to tell you to do something. Like it's a different gameplay, and it's really fun.
I like that idea.
I don't see. I think I do. I think I like as neat as it would be like if they inserted it in like while you were playing through the story at the same time, then I would feel like, oh, they really just took chunks out of the game and set them aside as DLC. I kind of like the idea later on that like, yeah, they're talking about it, figuring out what happened. It's like, you were gone for a while. What was that all about? Like,
yeah, and they already kind of see that still with chapter 13. Like you get to this point, the characters split up, and you're like, do you want to follow Noctis or do you want to follow Gladio? Choose one, and you can actually choose. And then once you get to the end, then you can do the other one. Now that I didn't know because I went back and played it afterwards, but my sister just played through it and said that it lets you choose there. So it still even has that element of it in chapter 13. But the extra DLC, they are called episode Gladiolus. Episode.
Yeah, no, I
episode. So it's like about those specific characters, and it's their own like separate game almost.
I do kind of agree with what Tom Berrien in the chat is saying. They're like, I liked teleporting around as Noctis. Like that's what like made that combat system fun. I don't want to give that up.
But it's for an.
I know for a DLC, like I get it.
For a DLC about a completely different character, and the gameplay is fun. Like I've
Okay.
played it, and they even have a score attack mode where then you can go back through the entire DLC again in super fast mode without the story cutscenes and stuff, and just try to get through as many enemies as you can within the time limit for a score.
All right, I kind of
If you
dig
get
that.
and if you get enough points, you get an outfit for Gladio where he's shirtless.
Oh, of course. All right.
It's a lot
ew.
of fun. So anyone
After you've already
bitching
beat the
about it.
game.
Yeah, right.
Cool.
Even after they already had to double production, Nintendo continues to have to increase production on the Switch. With demand on the system not dropping off, Nintendo